Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm calling to order the North Ridgeville City Council meeting for Monday, October 16th, 2023. If you could please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we come to you asking for your guidance and wisdom as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion and help us to work together to nurture the bonds of our great community. We ask you to bless the city of North Ridgeville and all its residents. And we pray these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank.
Here.
Toth.
Here.
Havens.
Here.
Winkle.
Here.
Awig.
Here.
DeVries.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Mayor.
Here.
Law Director.
Here.
Engineer. Here. Finance Director. Clerk of Council. Here.
Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce and welcome Mr. Frank Toth, who is seated in our Ward 2 seat. We're excited to have you here, Mr. Toth. Thank you for your willingness to serve, and we look forward to working with you over the next few months.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Look forward to working with you all.
Tonight, under the approval of minutes, we have the City Council meeting minutes dated October 2nd, 2023. Are there any changes or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, the minutes stand approved. Please note that council has also received the Board of Zoning and Building Appeals meeting minutes dated September 28th, 2023, and the Planning Commission meeting minutes dated October 10th, 2023 as well. In a moment, I will open our lobby session. As a reminder to those who are present in council chambers this evening, while the lobby session, in the interest of time, is not necessarily meant to be a question and answer interactive session, it is nonetheless an opportunity for the public to address both City Council as well as the City Administration regarding any concerns related to the business of City Council or the general affairs of the City of North Ridgeville. Anybody wishing to speak, we do ask that you speak from the podium and that you begin by stating your name and address for the record. So at this time, I will open the lobby session. Is there anybody in attendance this evening who would like to address council or the administration? All right, hearing and seeing none, I will close the lobby session and we will move on to administrative reports. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. There are several items on the agenda this evening that we will ask for the emergency clause. We'll cover them as they come up, as there are so many of them. All legitimate reasons, though. And we have a master plan steering committee that is going to occur this Thursday, October 19th, here in council chambers at 6 p.m. That meeting is open to the public, and I encourage you all to attend. We're close to wrapping up the master plan process, so if you're interested in seeing how that is going, please stop by the meeting or stop and visit on the website, ridgevilready.com. We have Fall Fest. If you didn't know, it was postponed this past Saturday due to weather. We have bumped it back to this coming Saturday, still at South Central Park from 4 to 6 p.m. And there'll be fun games, food vendors, face and pumpkin painting, balloon animals, pumpkin bowling, a photo booth, and hay rides, weather permitting. And it's a free event, so stop on by for that. On October 27th, we have another edition of the Senior Center Spaghetti Dinner, and this time it is being sponsored by VFW Post 9871. We have citywide trick-or-treat occurring on October 31st from 6 to 7:30 p.m. If you're interested in participating, please leave your porch or street lights on. And as a reminder, watch out for those little ghouls and goblins as they walk around the city. And then we have our Stash Dash coming up. It's an annual event. It's a 5K or a 1 mile fun run walk, and that is occurring on Saturday, November 4th. If you're interested in participating, please visit the Park and Recreation's website for more information. And on race day, Bainbridge Road will be temporarily closed between State Route 83 and Mitchell Drive from approximately 8 a.m. until 10:30 a.m. in order to conduct that race. So please travel safely and accordingly. At this point, I make the motion to go into executive session to discuss the purchase, to consider the purchase of property, and also to conference with the public body's attorney concerning pending court action.
Second.
The motion was made by the mayor and seconded by Swank to go into executive session to discuss, as just stated by the mayor. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
We'll adjourn into executive session. That's what I would pronounce it if it was me.
Okay.
Well, I saw we were on planning commission in Aurora in the 2 days, but then I assume we have to be on council after that to make this vote on that motion. I've been canvassing, like, I'm selling this lot. Oh, really? Selling this station. Oh, where's your?
Just takes it off. It's like a cut.
Probably.
You just have to, like, no reaction, just taking it all away.
Oh, that was a first. Call these up presidential chairs, they're so huge.
You weren't entertaining everybody?
Yeah, no. That's fine. Curious.
I believe so, yeah. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. We are now back in regular session. Mr. Mayor, please continue with your report.
Mr. President, that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, very good, thank you. Ms. Engineer?
Thank you, Mr. President. The traffic striping contractor is hoping to start this week if the pavement conditions are acceptable. Maddock Road will be closed for approximately 4 weeks, starting next Monday, October 23rd, so the railroad can work on their bridge over the Ridgeway ditch. The engineering department welcomed John Bova to our team today as our new inspector, filling the vacancy that's been open for quite some time. John comes to us with over 20 years of experience, and we are looking forward to tapping into his knowledge. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please note, council is also in receipt of the September 2023 Building Division Report and the September 2023 Water Distribution and EPA Report. There are no council committee reports, correspondence, or old business on tonight's agenda. That brings us to new business. The North Ridgeville Planning Commission took action on an item at their regular meeting of October 10th, 2023. Clerk, if you could please read that item.
The crossing at French Creek subdivisions 5725 Avon Belden Road, permanent parcel number 07-00-019-000-010 comma 07-00-020-101-001 and -042. Proposal consists of preliminary plan approval for residential subdivision property zoned R1 resident district. Planning Commission action approved by a vote of 4-0 with the following conditions. Number 1, all setbacks according to code must be met. Number 2, if the sanitary sewer can't go to Route 83, the developer must do a sanitary sewer evaluation study in the Ridgeview Boulevard area. Number 3, the developer will provide an updated trip generation analysis.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Abens?
Planning Commission, of course, looked at this project. It meets all the North Ridgeville zoning codes and building codes. There are no variances given, nor were there any requested. There is a planned 100-year event water management system. No water from the development will be affecting the surrounding area. Water from the development will be entering the retention basin, held there until the storm event has passed, then releasing it to the drainage system when it can be handled the water. Furthermore, the development will be taking water from the southern part of the area and actually drying out the present field, thereby removing present water from the affected area. The developer has also set aside an easement for the city for installation down the road of a 30-inch stormwater pipe, relieving water issues on the western part of Avon Belden Road. The developer is also taking proactive role to help the schools pass a levy to build the high school. In other words, the developer and the French Creek project will be an asset not only to the immediate area, but the city as well. One other factor, the first home will not be available until 2025. Thereby, I motion to approve.
Second.
Motion was made by Abens and seconded by Winkle to approve the Planning Commission's approval of the crossing at French Creek. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
No.
Toth,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Planning Commission action carries 6-1.
Before we move on to recess, with the passing of Councilman Booth, there's a vacancy right now in our Parks and Rec Commission liaison role. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to nominate and appoint Councilwoman Awig as council's liaison to the Parks and Recreation Commission.
Second.
It was moved by Jacobs and seconded by Swank to nominate and appoint Councilwoman Awig as the Park and Rec Commission liaison. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Councilwoman Awig has been appointed as council's liaison to Parks and Rec. So congratulations and thank you for your willingness. At this time, I will also be making some assignments to vacant seats on council's standing committees. Councilman Winkle will be added to the Finance Committee. Councilman Toth will be added to the Streets, Sidewalks, and Bridges Committee. And Councilman Toth will also serve as the chairperson of the Utilities Committee, which means that he will also represent council at the Board of Drainage and Flood Control as well. So with that, we will move on to recess.
Mr. President, move to dispense with recess.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded by Awig to dispense with recess. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. Recess has been dispensed. We'll move along to first readings. Up first is T-105.
T-105-2023, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Abens to dispense with the second and third readings for T-105. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President, similar to when we send the tax budget to the county, we also have to certify the different levies that exist in the city. This is that process. It is due to the county by October 30th, and so therefore we will need the emergency this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any additional comments or questions? Again, the motion was made by the mayor and seconded by Abens to dispense with the second and third readings for T-105. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency in order to meet the county's deadline of October 30th.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Abens to add the emergency clause to T-105 in order to meet the county's deadline. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by the mayor and seconded by Abens to adopt T-105 with the emergency clause in place. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes resolution number 1609-2023.
T-106.
T-106-2023, a resolution declaring it necessary to renew an existing 2.25 mil tax levy for the purpose of providing for ambulance service and emergency medical care and to maintain a paramedic program and to equip and operate the same for a period of 5 years pursuant to sections 5703.03, 5705.03, 5705.19U, and 5705.191 of the revised code.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Abens to dispense with the second and third readings for T-106. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President, this is an existing levy that's been on the books for quite some time right now. They expire every 5 years, so we have to either renew or replace. This is a request to renew. That means that there's no additional tax money beyond what we're already paying for this. It is a levy that the last collection year is in 2024. So with the accelerated time frame for a primary next year because of the presidential election. The time frame has been moved up to a March primary, which means the deadline, similar to what we're doing with the library, is meeting that new deadline that we would normally wait. But the information needs to get to the Board of Elections by December. And so we are asking this one to go through with the emergency to the auditor. They will then give us some information. We then have another piece of legislation that we will have to consider and pass before that December deadline. That's the normal process. And like I said, it's just accelerated because it's a presidential election year.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any additional comments or questions? So again, it was moved by the mayor and seconded by Abens to dispense with the second and third readings for T-106. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second?
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause in order to meet all of the statutory deadlines that we have ahead of us.
Yeah, I believe the use of the emergency clause is, this resolution is declared to be an emergency measure necessary for the immediate preservation of the public health, safety, and welfare of the city, and for the further reason that this resolution must be effective immediately so that it can be timely filed with the county auditor and additional proceedings taken in order to submit the question of the levy to the electors at an election on March 19th, 2024.
That's way more specific than mine, so we'll go with yours.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Abens to add the emergency clause to T-106 for the reasons stated by myself. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by the mayor and seconded by Abens to adopt T-106 with the emergency clause in place. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes resolution number 1610-2023.
T-107.
T-107-2023, a resolution declaring the necessity intent to appropriate interest in land from Mark Standen and Matthew Standen for the purpose of constructing a roundabout at the intersection of State Route 83 and Chestnut Ridge Road in the city of North Ridgeville, Ohio.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It's moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to dispense with the second and third readings for T-107. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President, this roundabout at 83 and Chestnut Ridge, we've discussed it from time to time here. There is a deadline imposed upon us by ODOT to have property acquisition, and they had said October 15th, which is yesterday. They wanted us to have everything finalized by Friday, but we still had a council meeting to get through. So for this one, 107, 108, and 109, these properties, we have not reached an agreement on the amount or have been unable to locate one of the parties. I believe it's 108 that we've been unable to locate. And so we're just moving forward in the ODOT timeline of events to acquire these properties, go through the eminent domain process for that roadway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any additional comments or questions? Again, it was moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to dispense with the second and third readings for T-107. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause to meet ODOT's deadlines.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to add the emergency clause to T-107 in order to meet ODOT's deadline. On the emergency clause, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by the mayor and seconded by Awig to adopt T-107 with the emergency clause. At this time, are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President, one more note. There were actually 6 property owners altogether. we have the three that we were unable to reach an agreement with. So we did reach an agreement with the other three. One of them signed Friday. So, we were up until the last minute trying to secure these properties, which is why, we're at this point now.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any additional comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Abens?
I have to admit, I'm anxious to get this project up and running and, quite frankly, finished. It should alleviate some of the traffic congestion we suffer in that particular area, especially around rush hour. So it is an important project for North Ridgeville.
Thank you, Mr. Abens. Any additional comments? All right, hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes resolution number 1611-2023.
T-108?
A resolution declaring the necessity intent to appropriate interest in land from Edward Joseph Karras and Gertrude H. Karras for the purpose of constructing a roundabout at the intersection of State Route 83 and Chestnut Ridge Road in the city of North Ridgeville, Ohio.
Mr. President, move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to dispense with the second and third readings for T-108. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause to meet ODOT's deadline.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to add the emergency clause to T-108 in order to meet ODOT's deadline. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to adopt T-108 with the emergency clause. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0 and becomes resolution number 1612-2023.
T-109.
T-109-2023, a resolution declaring the necessity intent to appropriate interest from land from Snappy Gas Mart for the purpose of constructing a roundabout at the intersection of State Route 83 and Chestnut Ridge Road in the city of North Ridgeville, Ohio.
Mr. President, move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to dispense with the second and third readings for T-109. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. DeVries.
I'll have to recuse myself on this one. I'll be abstaining.
Okay, thank you, Mr. DeVries. Any other comments or questions? All right, hearing none, clerk, please call the roll on this one.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Abstain.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 with one abstention.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause in order to meet ODOT's deadline.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to add the emergency clause to T-109 in order to meet the ODOT deadline. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
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 All
Abstain.
opposed? Nope. Clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Abstain.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Emergency clause passes 6-0 with one abstention.
It was then moved by the mayor and seconded by Swank to adopt T-109 with the emergency clause in place. This time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Abstain.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0 with one abstention and becomes resolution number 1613-2023.
110. T-110.
A resolution accepting funds as part of the American Rescue Plan Act for the Ohio Ambulance Transportation Program.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor, seconded by Winkle, to dispense with the second and third readings for T-110. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President, this program came to our attention. I was reading an email, quite frankly, that mentioned that there was some money for ambulance transportation personnel. and it was related to COVID. There are strict rules that relate to this program, but it was something that was available to us. We applied, and we received some funds as a result. And so this will go to our firefighters because of their designation as EMS personnel as well. That's how they're eligible for this program. And it only goes to existing employees, and there is a time frame in which they are eligible. So there are a couple that have been hired after that time frame. They would not be able to participate in this program. But essentially, it's state money that we got for free, and we're just a conduit to then give it to our employees.
Very good, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Are there any additional comments or questions at this time? It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to dispense with the second and third readings for T110. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause so that we may disperse these funds in a timely manner.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to add the emergency clause to T110 in order to dispense the funds in a timely manner. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to adopt T110 with the emergency clause in place. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swank,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Abens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0 and becomes resolution number 1614-2023.
T111.
T111-2023, a resolution amending resolution number 1568-2022, which amended a previously approved and ratified application for tax incentive community reinvestment area number 14 for Young Explorers Montessori.
I'll make a motion to amend T111. In the fourth whereas statement, we need to make a slight adjustment. It should read that North Ridgeville Technology Group LLC is maintaining ownership of the property, and an affiliate is in the process of selling, and so on and so forth.
Second.
So the motion was made by Jacobs and seconded by Swank to amend T111 with the language that I just stated. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swank?
this particular property owner owns 2 parcels. It being in my ward, I've noticed that one of the parcels are unkept. I would just wish that someone would get a hold of the property owner to maybe mention the parcel next to the building, have a little more upkeep done to it.
Okay, Mrs. Swank, thank you. Are there any additional comments or questions? So again, the motion was made by Jacobs and seconded by Swank to amend T111 with the language that I stated. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. T111 is amended accordingly. T112.
T112-2023, a resolution approving the global settlement agreement with the City of North Ridgeville and a former employee to resolve several claims, charges made by the former employee.
Mr. President, move
Yes,
to
Mr. Mayor.
dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to dispense with the second and third readings for T112. Are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause so that way we may settle these several pieces of litigation that we are currently embroiled in.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to add the emergency clause to T112 in order to settle the litigation in a timely manner. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no. It was then moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to adopt T-112 with the emergency clause in place. This time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number, or resolution number 1615-2023.
T-113.
T-113-2023, an ordinance amending ordinance number 6044-2023, which authorized the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract according to law in a manner prescribed by law with the lowest and best bidder for the construction of sludge processing storage building for the French Creek wastewater treatment plant by increasing the amount from $900,000 to $1.3 million.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swink?
if I can ask the administration, what's the dramatic change from? Was it just because of cement prices or?
That's a big part of it. We put it out for bid at the 900,000. Those bids came in more. I forget the exact amounts that the two quotes or bids came in at, but that's why we're increasing this. The cost of concrete has skyrocketed over the years.
Okay.
I think this might be the second attempt at increasing the price.
It is. That's why I was
And-
asking.
Every time it just keeps going up.
Just like groceries.
Right. We're just going to let this one roll, though.
Okay. Any other questions at this point? Okay, T-114.
T-114-2023, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Maria Cologne for the purchase of real property.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor?
move to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to dispense with the second and third readings for T-114. Are there any comments or questions?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
we have an opportunity to purchase a piece of property that would be beneficial for us to own when we're considering a town center plan. This fits into that idea, and we'd like to move this along and secure the property.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any additional comments or questions? Again, it was moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to dispense with the second and third readings for T-114. All in favor, say yes.
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 All opposed, say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, move to add the emergency clause so that way we may conclude the purchase of this property in a timely manner.
Second.
It was moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to add the emergency clause to T-114 in order to conclude the purchase of the property in a timely manner. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by the mayor and seconded by Winkle to adopt T-114 with the emergency clause in place. Are there any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Avens,
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously and becomes ordinance number 6107-2023.
All right, that'll bring us to second readings. And then, up first is T-98.
T-98-2023, a resolution declaring it necessary to levy a renewal tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for the current expenses of the Lorraine Public Library System, including the operation of a branch library located in the city of North Ridgeville.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Winkle.
move to dispense with the third reading.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded by Awig to dispense with the third reading for T-98. Are there any comments or questions at this time?
Mr. President,
Yes, Mrs. Swank?
I understand that this is also time sensitive to get to the auditor and the Board of Elections and,
Yes, that's my understanding as well. They're following the same time frame that the mayor spoke over earlier regarding the
The
ambulance
ambulance.
levy renewal. Yes.
thank you.
Are there any additional comments or questions? So again, it was moved by Winkle and seconded by Awig to dispense with the third reading for T-98. All in favor say yes.
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 All opposed say no.
Mr. President, move to adopt.
Second.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to add the emergency clause so that it could be the deadline to get on the ballot when they need it to be.
Second.
It was moved by Winkle and seconded by Awig to add the emergency clause to T98 in order to meet the county's deadline. On the emergency clause alone, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed say no. It was then moved by Winkle and seconded by Awig to adopt T98 with the emergency clause in place. At this time, are there any comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Swink,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Avens.
Yes.
Winkle,
Yes.
Awig,
Yes.
DeVries,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0 and becomes resolution number 1616-2023.
T101.
T101-2023, an ordinance amending NRCO Chapter 264 Civil Service Commission.
Brings us to third readings. However, we do not have any third readings this evening. No, that was for the other meeting.
Okay.
As far as meeting announcements, a public hearing will be held on Monday, November 6, 2023 regarding T97. That meeting will be held at 6:30 PM in council chambers. The next regular city council meeting will be held on Monday, November 6, 2023 here in city council chambers, and the time for that meeting will be 7 PM. Do any of the council members or administration have any final comments this evening? All right, hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.